let me just piggyback off of you. Something that you said was that your parents were already in business. And so do you guys think there's a correlation with successful entrepreneurs having that foundation, maybe with parents or someone that they've seen as business owners, or do you think that it doesn't matter?
I think it certainly helps.
Mm.
I think that coming from a Nigerian background, the focus is always on education.
Mm.
Growing up, and so, it's doctor, lawyer,
Engineer.
accountant.
Mhm.
And those are your 4 courses. So if you're blessed to have entrepreneurial parents, then that just gives you an additional drive. But is it a prerequisite? No, not at all. Either you got it or you don't. I will say for me, how I got into events, 2 things. One, I just hate being bored. I like to be busy. I find that I like to be working. I like to juggle multiple events or projects at the same time. But really, I just got tired of people asking me questions. Didi, where can I go for a venue? Where's the best decorator? Who's the caterer I can use for this? Who is a good seamstress that I can use? Who did your makeup? And so everyone would be asking me all these questions incessantly. And of course, I'd be answering these questions, and so they would keep coming back. And so one day, I was talking to a friend of mine who's now moved back to Nigeria, and she said, well, Didi, let's just pull all the vendors that you know together and have a big showcase. And so everyone can stop bothering you, and they can see for themselves who they need to go to. And that literally was how we got started. I said, well, that's a great idea. How about here? How about this? We came up with a floor plan, and before we know it, we had a mini conference of about 500 or 600 people that attended. And so I kind of stumbled into it. It wasn't something that I was dreaming and planning and doing. It's just something, sparked an idea, followed through, and got it done.
So if it was easy to start a business, I feel like everybody would do it, right? So what resources did you use when you started out that you feel was helpful for maintaining your business?
For me personally, a lot of things I do is put up for like social media platforms. I think in a world where internet is like next big thing, and I figured out if you can use you can connect to anyone, you can talk to anyone, you can ask any question on Google and it's going to answer. Sometimes when I'm confused, all I have to do is just Google things out, and I found like a lot of answers to it. So I feel like social media was one of the resources I used to pull out a lot of inspiration, a lot of ideas, connections. The shoot I just finished with the international capitals was through social media. I just reached out to one of the companies and they just checked my portfolio, and that was it. So I feel like social media does a lot of things also.
I would say find a mentor. When you start a business, find somebody that's been there, done it before you. Because they can tell you what not to do, possibly connect you with the right people, if it's the right mentor. When I started coaching, I also coached soccer. My college coach was my mentor, and he basically put me through every step. You gotta get this license, get that license. He was actually giving me my first paid coaching job. And then from there, it just kind of took off until I started coaching at college level. When I started real estate, the guy that was my client, that I was doing all this IT stuff and flyers. Back then, we used to mail flyers, we used to carry around map and stuff like that. So I was one of his IT/accountant. I would actually go to MapQuest and print out the maps for all the houses and give it to him so that way it helps him out. But when I got into real estate, it became my mentor, and that saves me a lot of headache. Even though at the beginning, when it was my mentor, it cost me a lot of money. Because for every house I sold, I was taking 60% commission, and he was taking 40. But looking back now, it was a great help because he helped me a lot. I learned from him. He's now a broker, and I'm now an agent under his brokerage. So that mentoring still continues. And now he's actually mentoring me in investing and doing rehabs and all sort of stuff, and raising funds. So if you can find a good mentor in whatever line of business you're in, it goes a long way. Obviously, there's big machine out there that can also help you. It's called Google. So that will help you a lot. You can Google anything, Google, YouTube, social media, so that helps. For me personally, though, I would say mentor, and learn how to do research.
So my thing is, how do you, if somebody is starting out, well, first and foremost, a lot of people who maybe if this is their first business, they don't even know whether this is something that they can put their heart into it. Some people have 10 ideas, which one do I do? And then, okay, let's say I settle on one idea, how do I go about finding a mentor? Because sometimes I feel like, you can have this curiosity and then you go to somebody who's successful and they may feel like, okay, are you trying to take my shine? Like, are you trying to step in my shoes? How do you go by finding a mentor that is willing to help you get to your next level?
I would say mentors, you don't necessarily have to have a physical person with you. You can find mentors anywhere online, following their videos, reading their books. There's so many, like Warren Buffett, he's my mentor, he doesn't know that. So, there's just certain folks you can follow in diverse ways. And I would say whatever it is, just jump into it. Usually mentors, they will seek out mentees that are serious. So if someone is just coming to me, I want to buy franchises, what do I do? And I ask certain questions and I can tell they haven't done their homework or they're not really serious. I'm looking at my time and I'm not gonna pour valuable time into someone that's not really there yet.
Okay.
I would rather say, go back, do this research, and then come back when you're ready. So sometimes mentors, they will seek out mentees that are really, really ready and serious.
Yeah, one other thing I would say is, while I was starting out looking for mentors, a lot of times we make mistakes by sending out like requests to mentors, or can you help me with this thing? A lot of times I've been in the position I am right now. I have guys looking up to me. I'm looking up to some guys also. I would only listen to someone who has something to offer also. Like if you want to be under someone's tutelage, you can offer some things like, I can do this, I can do that. This is my heart for the business. This is what I can offer you also. I'm not going to bring someone under my wings that's going to just cost me more problems. I just want to learn some things and run away. I would want someone who's going to be there like, I can get your coffee. I can get this for you. I can do this if you want me to do it for you. And I think that's one of the things that differentiates people that get response from mentors or people that don't. Is the fact that they also add values to the mentors as they gain from the mentors also.
What are some challenges that you guys faced starting your business and maintaining
it? I think everybody here will agree time. For me right now, time is like the biggest challenge. Like I run 3 businesses, including consulting, real estate, and Afrobeat Live. You're part of our, so you know how much time we put into it. You know how many WhatsApp messages you get on a daily basis. Now that the business is going, I think time, and I think everybody will agree, is the biggest thing. Funding depends on the business you're in. It could be a big challenge. And then 3, I would say people. If you're in a business that require other people. In my real estate business, it's my thing. It's a single man's business, so I can do that on my own and just worry about my clients and, what I do. In Afrobeat Live, we have about 15 people that's core members of Afrobeat Live, including staffs in Nigeria. So I have to worry about that all the time, the dynamics. You have sometimes unnecessary issue, who doesn't like who's pissed off at somebody, people think things personal. That takes a lot of time out of your people. So you gotta make sure you have the right people, So for me, that's the top 3 things. It's time, money, and people.
So in terms of time, how do you think one can balance, especially if you're doing a full-time job? Because the entrepreneurs that I know, they still are working full-time. Maybe a government job or something where they can have a side hustle, quote unquote, and they have their entrepreneurship, endeavors on the side. Like, how do you balance that time? What are some advice that you can give somebody who's starting out that is they don't know how to balance their time to make both sides successful? Because sometimes you do need your full time to feed into your entrepreneurship. Until you can get to a level where that's making a profit for you.
I would say just be wise about that, because we're in this whole climate now of everyone's quitting their full-time jobs and running into entrepreneurship, but then they realize, darn it, I don't have any money. And they run right back. So then it makes you look like a fool because you're like up, down, exactly. But on the flip side of that, I knew I could not do my full-time job and run the business at the same time. I knew it. Because something would have to give, either my marriage, my kids, the business, or my job. I looked at those four and I said, job has got to go. I couldn't give up my marriage and my kids, and then we already purchased the franchise. And so I would say, you would have to just weigh it out. I mean, if the money is right, if you can survive without the full-time job, if you have income coming from another source, for me, I'd rather just throw myself all into one thing and do it well, as opposed to have 1 foot at the job, 1 foot in the business, and then you're kind of doing it midway, if that makes sense. Some of us in the DMV area, the franchisees, we get together and we meet and we talk, and you could always see the successful franchises compared to the ones that are doing okay, and the common thing is those ones are still working their full-time jobs. The owners are still working their full-time jobs. All of them. So we're like, okay. Yeah, and some people like the extra money, and it's like, okay, but if you throw yourself into the business, then you can have so much more than holding on to this job. And part of it is fear. They have kids, they have a family, and it's like, if this doesn't go well, at least I still have my job to fall back on. But when you're business minded, you can't think like that. This has got to succeed because this all I got, Yeah.
I think for me, I agree wholeheartedly with everything that they say. And it's a struggle for most entrepreneurs. You have a passion, you have something that you're doing, you're thinking of doing. At the same time, you have mortgage, you have rent, you have school fees, you have to pay for food and your utilities. So it is a struggle. But like I tell my team, sleep is overrated. You pick and choose your battles. Ms. MC is completely right. Something will suffer at some point in time. And it could be your job if you're still working. Or it could be the fact that you might have to outsource picking up your kids from school if you're an entrepreneur. You have to try and find the balance. And there's not a straightforward path. The one key that I realized is the power to say no. Knowing how to pick and choose the right business opportunities is really, really key. Especially if you're like in a one-man business where you're sort of controlling what you're doing, which I do in events as well. Knowing how to discern what are the best choices for me, what are the best events that I should be investing my time in, because I tell everyone, I can't do it 50%. I can't be in it 50%. I have to be in it 100%. If I feel like I can't be in it 100%, then I won't do it. So that's like the barometer for me. And sometimes I'm up all night, and sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning, but you keep at it. You keep at it. And some days it's hard, and some days it's incredibly good. And you just keep living for those days, for those events that are incredibly good.
Just to add to that, I think for those of us that still have the full-time job, you have to pick the right job. It's a sacrifice, like you said. It's a balance, I'm a middle-aged man, wife, and kids, so they have their own time. They have their own. My kids play sports. I have to play time with them. So the contract that I'm on, I've been there for 8 years, and the reason why I picked this contract out of all the ones that we won and we're servicing is because at the beginning it was very flexible. Like I was working from home a couple days a week. So I was like, hey, I can still do everything I need to do those 2-3 days. I can multitask at my home. The client is happy, I'm happy, I'm handling multiple things. It was great. But when things changed last year, I no longer get to work from home. So I'm like, okay, I gotta make a decision now. Because now I have to go in every day. And I've been going every day. And I told them this year, like, listen, by December, I'm gonna give you guys to the end of the year, find somebody else, but I'm gonna be out. And I'm gonna have to jump to somewhere else that is more flexible. I could have left the contract a couple years ago and looked for more money or the contract a bit more, but because of the time I was getting, I didn't want to do that because it was perfect, So now you take away that time, I gotta go. So it's a sacrifice you gotta make. I was coaching every fall from August 1st to like October or November, depends on how far we go. Simply if I was to coach at Basic Community College. So in the fall, my schedule is extremely tight. You know, if you know about college coaching, you practice every day, and every other weekend you're out of town. And, you know, like I said, my kids play sports, so during the fall, sometimes you have to bring grandma from Nigeria just to help out during that 2-3 months period with the kids, and my wife is dropping one at Bowie and then driving to DC to drop the other one off. So it's a sacrifice, it's a balance. For most people, I always tell people this when I do business conference, and I always ask the crowd, why do you want to be a business person? And if I ask everybody here, you get 1 or 2 answers. One, they want more time, or they want to make money. But when you're a business person, forget the time. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to be able to do invoices at night, pool houses, whatever business you do. I'm sure you've been up to 3 a.m. editing photos. I've been up to like 5 o'clock in the morning editing videos, and I have to be at work at 7. And I'm like, I'm into it, and I'm like, I gotta shut down. I gotta shut down. But I'm in the middle of something. So it's a balance, it's a sacrifice. You just gotta pick what you have to do. If your full-time job is in the way of your business, are you willing to lose money to do that? And then if there's a majority crowd of the people, let's say a majority crowd is under 25, I always say, if you can live with your parent and focus on your business and lose that money, do it. But if you have kids to support, it's a different ballgame.
I mean, to add to what you guys said, while I was in college, my senior year, I couldn't do social media for myself any longer. It was like just one picture, takes like 30 minutes, 1 hour, just to come with a caption and all that. So what I did was I just went to one of the high schools around my area and just hired an high school student, and I said, you know what, take my social media, just do whatever you have to do with it. And if you watch my social media, you see them talking and interacting with people and all that. And I think the power of delegation is part of things you can do. Delegate things to people you can, don't do everything by yourself. If someone's better at it than you are, let them do it and just do what you can do. I think that's one of the things that makes a difference.
Like Ty said, you're gonna grind hard in the beginning, but it doesn't have to stay like that throughout, because we're human. We can't keep grinding to 3 a.m. in the morning. You don't wanna crash and burn. So that's when the outsourcing comes in, where you do social media, you do this, you do that, so you can actually breathe and start to enjoy the fruits.
Speaking of fruits, what can you guys elaborate on the fruits of entrepreneurship besides money? We know that's a big fruit, but.
Time freedom. I mean, we talk, after a while, it becomes, you get to pick up your kids and spend time with them in school and travel and, yeah, time freedom for me. Time over money any day. I tell people, I don't care how much it is, time is so valuable to me. So you can always make more money, but you can't get time back, so.
And thanks to technology, you can run most businesses from anywhere. I was just recently on vacation. I was still kind of working, but at least I get to go and still can be able to respond to email.
I'd rather be working on the beach any day.
So it helps.
I think for me, it's fulfillment. You know what I mean? It's something that you feel very strongly about, very passionate about, and you can invest in and you see the returns. You don't see that in a 9-to-5. It's impossible. You're working for somebody else, somebody's paying you a paycheck. And if you're fortunate to be in a business where you have personal fulfillment, I don't think you can replace the price on that.
So somebody starting out, if they were looking for financial assistance, what type of advice would you give them on how to do that? Look for somebody else's money to use to start their business. And did you guys do that? Because I know some people do and some people just use their own money. What are the benefits?
I mean, you started fresh, so you could answer that. All 3 businesses that I run right now, my consulting business doesn't require a lot of money to start. We invested a little bit of money to get an ADA certification and do some other things, but it doesn't require a lot of money to start. You just have to start and work, and hopefully you get lucky. Starting real estate here, if you're an agent, it doesn't really require a lot of money. Just take the license and meet the right people. Afrobeat Live, just when we started, required a lot of money, some money. And at that time, I was fortunate enough to have enough savings to put my own money into it. And even now, we can actually go out and get funding from people or get investors, but I'm still very cautious in doing that because when you do that, nobody's gonna give you money unless you're giving something in return. You know, but if you're starting a business that requires a lot of money, you just gotta, depends, really. I mean, can you not go shopping every weekend and save up that money for 6 months and use that money to start a business? There's a lot of ways. Now, if you wanna go out and get money from banks and everything, then you have to be, your business plan has gotta be right. There's a lot of things that you gotta do to get that money, because nobody's gonna give you money for anything. And most people that are investors, they're very brilliant. They will see through any loopholes that you put out there. So the best way is if you know you don't have your paperwork and the business plan and everything is ready, just cut down your lifestyle, you know, move back home with mom. If you really that passionate about it, you do it.
Downsize.
Downsize. Yeah.
I think, two things, most business ideas actually don't need capital to get started. And so maybe you focus on those. How do you get started? Just leveraging your connections to, you know, service, sales, what can I sell? What can I get my friends to buy from me? What do I do extremely well that other people see a value in? Most business ideas don't need capital. It's not until you grow really big. So if you're thinking about getting money as your first step, that's probably not the right step. But two, my dad always says this, most successful entrepreneurs have to be able to deny themselves. You have to be able to deny yourself, say no to yourself, and I think I will alluded to that, or you have to be able to say no to somebody else. So most people, when you get out of college, you're all in the same sort of entry-level jobs. Some people just get to buy a house sooner or quicker because they were able to deny themselves, or they're not giving away as much money to other people for other things. And I think that's one of the hallmarks of early success, is not hoarding, but being extremely prudent financially. So that power to say no to someone else or to yourself is really important.
And that's what we did. We believe in saving for everything, well, saving, yes, for businesses. So we saved and purchased the franchises. For real estate, it's a whole different investing. I would do things differently for investing. But for the franchises, my husband and I said, look, we're gonna save his income, no, save my income and live off his income. And we had a meeting with the kids. We know you love gymnastics, but we're gonna cut it for a while. We know you love soccer, but we're gonna cut it for a while, because we really had to bring in our finances to make sure we could make this happen with just cash. We didn't wanna go to the bank, we didn't want to, and we could have, but I hate that feeling of owing somebody else something, or, you know, I see the income coming in every month, but then in the back of my head is, no, that's not yours, it has to go back to the loan. So, that's what we did, just lived off of his income and then saved my income for a year. And then took that money and opened up the business.
Okay. So, I think Dee Dee was talking, sort of in a way, about scaling one's business. How does one, if someone is already in business, let's say five, so you're not necessarily a new entrepreneur, but you want to grow to the next level. How does one do that? In what ways do you think, what type of advice would you give for scaling a business? I heard sourcing out, outsourcing, delegating. How does one go about doing that?
I think a key to really scaling your business is your team, making sure that you can expand your capacity. And in expanding your capacity, make sure you're not duplicating the talents on your teams. If two people are serving the same role, you shouldn't have two people serving the same, there's gonna be a conflict. You shouldn't have two people serving the same role on your team. You should have sort of a divergence of roles so that you're able to expand and not just sort of keep your talent linear, if that makes sense.
Oh, somebody, sorry.
No, I was just saying, we're there right now. So I just had a meeting yesterday with an owner in Montgomery County. He owns 6 mathnasiums. And we just purchased our 2nd one. So that was my question to him. How do we scale without me losing it, or, because I can't duplicate myself. And his big thing was systems. You gotta have your systems in place, because when this is going on here and that's going on over there, you need to have your team right, systems in place. I mean, everything has to be moving like a well-oiled machine, or you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So systems was his #1 thing. You ever see, get your systems right, so.
And what I was gonna say was, you have to ask yourself, why are you scaling? Why? You know, why? In anything you do, you wanna know why you're doing it. You don't wanna say, okay, if you're running, let's say, Suya's joint, right? You're running one Suya spot. You're not successful at it, but you wanna jump to the second one. Why? You know, so if, let's say, for example, you're successful at it, you got, like you said, you got the system right, you got your people right, everything is going well, now you can scale. But if you're just scaling just to scale, then why? You know, just, there's no point. I don't see it, I just do what I look at it, you know?
So basically, in order to scale, make sure that you have your primary in place, your primary business in place in order for now to duplicate that to the next level. Because I do see a couple of, like, especially Nigerian restaurants, I never understood like the big space, and you see like 1 or 2 people in there every day. And I'm like, I know you can cook well, but maybe you needed to, because real estate is expensive, you know, so maybe you needed to just kind of do it out your, you know, kitchen, and then, you know, scale up. So yeah, I understand that.
And make sure your business can run without you being there. So I read something that said, like, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, a business owner is the one, no, you're self-employed if you have to be in your business every day. You're a business owner if your business can run without you being there every day. So if you still have to show up in your business, you still have a job, basically.
All right, that's a good one. All right. Okay. And so, in terms of people, human resources, how does one go about hiring the right people for your business?
If you find that out, let me know. That's prayer.
When we started ABL, I'm gonna use that as an example, because you're part of it, so I'm gonna like, well, you have to be very strategic in who you bring on board. You know, I made a mistake. I brought a family member on board when we started, very talented. You know, my blood, good at graphic design. Honestly, I can say he's one of the graphic designers in the area. So I said, hey, perfect for you. But I had to fire him after a month. Like literally done. Don't want to have anything to do with it. He actually did our logo, our initial logo. But after that, and I was actually paying him. So, but after that, that was a very good lesson for me. You know, because I'm coming from a consulting world where we hire you to do a job, you don't do it, you're done. You know, but now you're dealing with family members. So if you're my family member, it's tough to say you're fired, because that next Thanksgiving is gonna be tough.
Yeah.
You know, Christmas is gonna be tough. That family group chat is tough. You know, but after that learned the lesson, then I started learning how to go out and find the best people, not necessarily the most talented, because sometimes the most talented people are not the best people. It's just like coaching, you know, the best player sometimes it's not what the headache they're gonna give you. So I rather cut the best player that's gonna give me a headache. I hire somebody that's very, very coachable. You know, so now I think we're at a point where we have a team that we work well together, we gel well together. Everybody knows their expertise. I believe in everybody in excelling in what you're good at, and let somebody else be good at something else. So it's very, very key to find people that you can work with, even if they're not the most talented. Give them room. They will grow. They want to grow. You know, so that's my point. Is find the best people that you can work with. Always get references. Always talk to people that know them and say, hey, what do you think about this person? If you come to me and I ask 5 people about you, and 3 of them say, that's enough for me.
Yeah, for me, I think it all boils down to looking for someone who can do what you can't do. That's one thing I did. So because I'm I like shooting like weddings, but I shoot more of like reception. I'm very good at it. But I need someone who's very artistic that can see different vision that I'm seeing. So I started looking for younger folks that can do that exactly that kind of portfolio. Start bringing them on team. And there was a time also I was starting looking at people's art. It's hard to judge, but let me tell you a story about how I hired my latest person on the team. He's a 13-year-old actually. I was peeing during the wedding, and the guy just came to the restroom, and he's like, "Why did you hire me?" I'm like, what do you expect me to do? And so I was like, okay, can I just pee? And it was right here. It's like I've been sending you emails or messages through my dad's phone for the past 1 month. You haven't replied. I want to work with you. I want to learn what you did. And right there, I knew exactly what he wanted. And those kind of people you want to look for them. They're the ones that are going to be there, like when things are not going well. I've been sick at weddings and they've done things on their own. And I think that's one of the things to look at.
Absolutely. I think having a good team is so key.
Yeah.
It's really, that's just, part of it, I've been blessed, I thank God. It's just been God's favor. If you have to go out and actually actively search, that's so important to you're trusting them with your brand. That's like your second child.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not have you on the team and just know we're gonna try and work it out between ourselves, like you said, than to have somebody that's gonna give me, it's already enough headache with the clients and everybody else. You can't be stressing me internally as well. It should be a place where you can come back and be like, oh my God, that was so stressful. You can't be stressing me as well. So just try to eliminate my stresses. And then it's so funny, I'll share this example. I went to a friend's launch recently and she told me this whole story about some girl who's coming from Nigeria and she really wanted to hook her up with me. She does yogurts or ice cream or something like that. And so I was excited to meet her. And she reached out to me if I could find somebody that does bars and bars, so she could have sort of a mobile setup. And so I got to the launch and I saw a girl next to the standing ice cream stand, and I didn't introduce myself. I just wanted to see what she was about. And so I'm like, hey, what do you guys have here? Oh my God, we have the best flavors. This is our summer hit. This is island sea breeze. This is coconut hazelnut if you want something. She was so, I was like, man, this girl is good. I could see why she wanted me to meet her. And what do you recommend for this? I'm not a sweet tooth. And she was so good. She said, oh, you know what? You would be perfect for this and great service. And you won't believe it, I got too much ice cream. And I'm talking to somebody else, and then my friend comes up to me and she's like, oh, Dee, the girl's here, I want you to meet her. I'm like, oh, I met her already. She's like, no, she just came in. That wasn't her.
Oh.
That was her team member. I was floored. You could not tell that was not her business. Like she took it on. She was so interactive. She was the perfect salesperson and it just changed my perception about a strong team. If you don't have people that can help you carry your brand, it changed my life. That 5 minutes changed my life. I met the girl, and she was even more enthusiastic. And I thought, I'm an event planner, you should be coming to talk to me. And she was like, oh yeah, I signed up at the Georgetown School of Business for Entrepreneurs. I already finished the 6-month program in DC, where we're serving in this corporate building here. She's like, oh Dee, yeah, actually, I just remembered we're serving in this corporate building here, and we're gonna be doing this summer fest. And I'm like, I need to talk to you. But I could see why somebody like that had somebody like that on her team. And so it's like, as much as you want good people, you also have to be good yourself, to attract.
So I have 2 more questions, guys, and then I'll open it up for you guys to ask the panelists. So in your business, have you ever had a moment where you felt like you failed, and what did you learn from it? It could be with a client, it could be about a strategy that didn't go well.
A couple years ago, I think you asked the question about expanding, and that's why I always ask why. Because I was in real estate, I partnered with some other people to start doing rehab houses and stuff like that. And there was a guy that was a friend of mine. We played soccer together in college. He's Spanish and he's into remodeling. And I said, oh yeah, let's expand the business. Let's have, home remodeling part of the business and everything like that. Biggest mistake ever. Again, this is people that I know, I trust them, I've went to school with him, we played together everywhere. In our younger days, we used to go all over East Coast, play soccer and stuff like that. But this guy was a horrible business guy. And I don't know too much about construction or fixing anything. I don't even cut my own grass. That's how bad I am as far as being handy. But now I'm in the handyman's business. And I got into that business because of somebody that I know. And I'm expecting him to take it head on, anything that has to do with that. So after about a year, and a lot of clients that got pissed off because they used us because of my reputation, because they know me, not necessarily because they know him. I'm the face of the business. After about a year, I had to get out and say, you know what? Big mistake, stick to your line and just not expand to something that you can't control.
Anybody
What was the question?
else? Has there ever been a moment where you felt like you failed in your business or something didn't go right? What did you learn from it?
I mean, business, there's always ups and downs, but I don't look at them as failures. It's just you try something, that doesn't work, you try this, that doesn't work, you try within your business. So it could be different marketing tactics, or, you've invested money thinking you were gonna get something, but you didn't. But you may not have gotten it back then, but it may come back later. That's what happened to us last year. So I don't look at them as failures. I mean, this to me is a success because Mathnasium, we're the only ones in Prince George's County. And so for us, it was changing that mindset of, okay, there's a bunch of them in Montgomery County, Howard County, Northern Virginia, and DC. Even, what's the county down south? Is that Water? St. Mary's? Or
St. Mary's.
They even got a Mathnasium. And I'm like, what happened to Prince George's County? And folks told us in the county, don't open here, because if you open here, you won't be as successful as other counties, because the mentality for education is not the same here. And so we walked in with that being said to our face, and I'm like, Lord, what are we doing? But it was a faith walk. It was, we know we need to bring this to our community. And so it was only the grace of God that has sustained us this long. We've had people come in that have said, we knew when you all were coming, we saw your signs, the town, everything is connected in this county. And so when word got out that you were coming, we didn't expect you guys to be here longer than a year. We're going on 3 years. Like, folks have told me this, and I'm like, what? So to me, everything won't be rosy in your business. But you take those failures as just learning lessons, and you just keep moving forward.
And if you guys could start over again, what would you do differently? In more ways than what you have now?
I would have started earlier.
Yeah.
Don't wait. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect moment. There's no perfect opportunity. Just do it. Start small if you need to start small, but you need to just do it.
I agree. Just doing as soon as you can, and there's never a perfect time to start a business. There's never a perfect time to do anything. You just gotta do it, and then just put your all into it. But you gotta do it for the right reasons, honestly. If you, like I said earlier, if you think starting a business is gonna free up so much time for you to no, you can't. That's not a business. It's just experimenting. That's a hobby. Business is gonna require a lot of your time, a lot of your sweat, a lot of your mental focus. That's a business.
I would say listen to the signs. We have this, being African, you just throw yourself into whatever you're gonna do, but then when your body starts talking to you, listen to it. Because I landed in the ER last year, trying to do everything. I wasn't outsourcing enough. I'm like, okay, no, I can do it. I don't know anything about social media, but I'm up there trying to figure it out and just stressing myself out. So stay in your lane. If you're good at math, focus on math. You have no reason dabbling in social media and marketing and this and that. But I would say if I could do it over again, I would have outsourced a lot earlier. A lot earlier.
I think for me, I would say, just trust, and just believe that you can do it. Just believe. For example, when I was starting my business off, I was taking 7 classes in college. I had 3 jobs, and I was still trying to do this. And God knows. I mean, she probably says it. You've seen it. I've been on to Kaiser twice this year, because I was trying to do everything. I was taking Red Bulls, but it clicked in me okay, I can just keep doing this, okay? And that's when I just brought people on board. So I was saying, just believe that I can do one thing, do it, and get people to do other things for you, and that's it. I mean, we're in a world where everything's outsourced.
Yeah.
Even video editing is outsourced nowadays. So if you can shoot videos and give to someone to edit, just do it. But focus on you getting the market, the business in, and that's it.
Does anybody have any questions for the panelists?
Yeah, so I think, can you elaborate more on the outsourcing? Because from an African community standpoint, you have a mentality that you want to save money. You want to learn everything, like social media. You feel like you can be a one-man show when in a business that requires, a team. So how important is it for someone? I think, Ty, you mentioned something during the interview, I think last week, about having the right people functioning their role and not being cheap or something along that line, but be willing to spend money, right? How important is it for you to be able to willing to spend money in order to save time and focus on other aspects of your business?
So for me personally, for example, let me use Afro-Life for example, right? We have 5 different shows. We have the gospel show, we have the music and everything else. I'm not a super religious person. Even though I'm African, I'm supposed to be, but I'm not. This is the fact. I'm sorry. But I have people like Bisola, who are like Bible students, Michael, who could be a pastor at any church. So I have to trust them to run the gospel, ABL gospel, the best way they could. I'm not a party person. I like going out, but I'm not a party person. But we have a Flash Black Friday, which is about new music and what's coming up and where the party is and all that kind of stuff. I have to trust them to run that the best way they could. Now, as far as spending money or not spending money, we rely on social media, we rely on graphics, we rely on a whole bunch of things. So if I have to go to school to go and learn how to do images, doing flyer, we go through about 5, 7 different flyers a week. The time that I'm going to spend on it is not worth it. So I might as well pay somebody to do it for me. I learned something a long time ago I was reading a book written by the owner of Marriott. And it says that if you can pay somebody to do something that you can afford to pay them, then you shouldn't do it. I joked earlier about not cutting my own grass, right? A couple years ago when we bought our house, I was all excited. I went to go buy a riding lawnmower. And I was, a new homeowner. The first time I cut the grass, I went over some slope, broke a pipe, WSS had to come out. Luckily it was a brand new house, so it was under warranty. But it cost the builder like $10,000 to fix it.
Oh my God.
So when I found somebody that could fix it, I said, hey, do you buy lawnmower? Like, yeah, he looked, I was like, how much will you give me for that? It's like $700, take it. So I learned that it's gonna take me 3 hours to cut my grass, to edge it, to do everything. It's still not gonna be perfect. But I have a guy that I can pay $60 or less, and he will come do it perfect. And that 3 hours that I'm using on a Saturday that I'm tired, so for time, it cost me 5 hours on a Saturday. But if I take that 5 hours and show houses and look at houses, I can make that money 10 times. So why wouldn't I outsource that? Even though that's not business, that's kind of personally related, but it's something in my business.
But that's what I use when I knew it was time, because let's say my one client is $5,000, right? But I'm trying to do the social media that I can pay somebody $15 an hour. The 3 hours I just used $45 to try to figure that out. I could have just made $5,000 or $10,000 staying in my lane, as opposed to trying to do this other stuff that's not, my mind does not work with Facebook. I don't get it. I don't like it. So yeah, that's when I knew, okay, just change the mentality, because I was the same way. No, I can save that, I can do this, I can do that. And then when you really break down the numbers, you're like, no, let me invest. For a marketing person, she can be in her lane and I can continue to stay in my lane.
If you break everything down into time, it will help you. As a business person, time is your most valuable asset. So if you break everything down into time,
And opportunity.
it will, yes, thank you, opportunity cost. So that will help you to say, oh yeah, I need to pay some money for this.
And you know, the easiest thing to start off with, people don't know, I don't know how to delegate, I don't know how to find somebody to help me do that. Start with the things you don't like.
You don't want to do things.
Start with the things that you know you gotta do, but you really don't wanna do. I like to be on social media, but I don't like to post. Like, I will have people in my family, Didi, I'm not posted. And so I know I need to find somebody to help me with that. I mean, it's not so bad. I found somebody, and I can even help her help me, because I'm like, oh, where do I start? But start with the things that you don't like to do. That's the easiest way to start, to delegate. And I agree with Ty completely, time, opportunity cost. What is it costing you to focus on this thing that you don't want to do, that you're not doing well, when you can be focusing on something else that you're staying in your lane so much better at? That's gonna be driving revenue, driving clientele to your business. Get somebody else that's better.
We're in a global market now. That's one thing about the time that we're in, where there are a lot of sites out there. I think you will agree. You probably use them. Fiverr.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of services out there that the people are not even in the same country. The staff that does they do our graphics every day, it's not even in America. We give them instruction, get this done, and the turnaround time is fast and it's very, very cheap because they're not here. So if there's something you can connect with somebody, there's a lot of apps out there that can help you really. You don't have to be jack of all trades. Just be the business person, be the CEO or be the manager, whatever you are. It will help.
Any other questions? I think,
No, she can.
oh, okay.
I just wanted to know, as a business owner, how do you stay motivated? Because like now as a new business owner, like sometimes I wake up and it's like, okay, what am I doing? Like, do I really want to do this? And other times I'm like creative, I'm working, I'm emailing, so how do you stay motivated when things aren't going the way you want it to go?
That is a fantastic question.
I mean, I know it sounds cliche, but remember your why. Like, why did you even start this at the beginning? When I see my when I see my students from when they started and then the progression, it's like, and it's deeper than math. I always tell the parents, it's deeper than math. We're like touching their entire lives, because some of these kids, they're struggling in math and then it starts to weigh on their self-confidence, and then they're dealing with bullies and this and that. So once we can get their confidence up with the math and then it starts to spill over in their lives, it's amazing the transformation you see. So I always say, just go back to your why. Why did you start it? And then for me, my kids are watching mommy and daddy do this. We're telling them, we don't even push, yes, we want them to go to college, but it's not be doctor, lawyer, engineer. It's be an entrepreneur. We're doing things now as their kids to be entrepreneurs. So it's part of them as they're growing up. So they're watching everything we do. So that kind of keeps us in check as well. When we wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like going today. I remember the why.
I think for me, when you don't feel motivated, acknowledging that will happen. There's some times where you're just like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired. It's not making money. It's not growing. It's difficult. It's not moving forward. Acknowledging that those times will happen. But you have to feed your spirit. You have to surround yourself with positivity. You have to listen. Find podcasts. People love podcasts. Find those stories. I go to Instagram, believe it or not, I go to Instagram clips. There's this guy on Instagram, his name is Gary Vee. He curses like a sailor. Like sometimes I'm listening in my car and I'm cringing, but I love his messages because he keeps you reminding you to stay positive, reminding you to feed your spirit if you're a Christian. You have to stay connected. You have to stay connected, you have to stay grounded. That's what's gonna get you through those times when you don't feel like going and you don't feel like working and things are not working out. I tell everyone, kids teach you a lot. They're little people just in a small body. Your son might have like a favorite food they eat every day, except one day he doesn't want to eat it. And I'm like, this is how I feel about life. Sometimes I like it 90% of the time, but there's gonna be one time I don't like it. Just allow yourself to have those moments. When you have a strong foundation, it's easier to get over the hurdles. But if you don't have a strong foundation, then it's really hard. So surrounding yourself, feed your mind with positivity. Take a break. Take a mental break. Focus on yourself. Personal care. I'm like, you gotta do adult stuff sometimes. Just get out and do some fun things, recalibrate, come back. Don't stay too long and don't waste too much money. But come back and then get back in.
Yeah, I think you have to pace yourself. You have to know who you are. I've got it, for me personally, I've gotten down to the fact that I know how many days I can sleep 4 hours before it becomes a problem. So I can go 2-3 days with like 4 or 5 hours sleep, but by the third, fourth day, I know I gotta shut down for like 8 hours minimum. And that's because I know what it takes before I get burnt out. I think I was having a conversation with Dave today when he came to the studio to the recording. I was like, I have to go to the gym tonight. And I wasn't trying to kick him out, but I know if I don't go to the gym in 5 days, by the 6 days, I get comfortable. By the 7th day, I don't miss the gym anymore. Once I get to that level, then yeah, it's hard for me to get back. So I know that day was like my breaking day, and it had to come because we were supposed to meet on a Monday, and I think we ended up switching it to Tuesday. And I'm like, bro, you gotta go. I'll send you the video, but I gotta go to the gym. So you know yourself. With my team, with APL, they disagree with me, but I know why I'm doing it. I tell everybody we take a break twice a year. We run from the second week in January to the end of June. We take July off, and middle of August we come back. And the reason is, there's no way you can do a weekly show or bi-weekly show with everything else you have in your life and do it 12 months straight. Yeah. It's a problem. You can't do it. Even people that have big shows on TV, like Helen DeGeneres and all that, they take a break. Yeah. But our people, we're excited, we don't want to take a break. We want to, wedding photographer, you want to shoot every weekend, DJ, you want to DJ every week. You're going to burn down and you're going to be not motivated. Money doesn't motivate everybody, but money is another way. So we shut down. I tell my wife, we got to go somewhere. We find somewhere to go during the break, and then when we come back, you see that when you get back, ideas are springing up, things are happening. So taking a break, and then the third thing is money. We all like money. I don't care who you are, you like money. You may like Gucci belt, or you may like Mama Put food, whatever you like, you gotta pay for it. We all adults. So money I'm like, okay, it's just like my real estate business. I'm like, okay, if I don't make this deal, if this doesn't work, I'm not gonna be able to feed every other thing, so I gotta stay motivated, but you know when to take a break. Just know yourself. You stay motivated. Listen to people like Gary Vee and all those podcasts also helps.
Last question.
For me, I don't think it's more so of a question, right? I think it was more so I got the invite, I'm supposed to be here. I'm sitting in my bed, I'm struggling. I'm like, I don't even know what this is about. Why do I need to go? Well, fine, I'll go ahead and go. But just sitting here and listening as an entrepreneur and someone who's been doing it for a long time, I'm like, we're going through the same thing. You guys are in different fields, different worlds, but it's the same. One thing that I would take away from this is I'm blessed to be here. I'm grateful I was meant to be here. Because I'm sitting here, you guys don't know, I have like notes and I'm just going through as you're talking. And being a financial person, there's one thing that I would take away from this. So it's 10 of us. I have 8 siblings. I'm the second oldest, Liberian. So you take care of everybody. Right? And I was in the process of purchasing a franchise. So we do taxes and bookkeeping and all that, right? And then I heard something that you said was, and I'm gonna paraphrase, I apologize. You said, cut down your lifestyle. Downsize, be able to deny yourself, and cutting back on some of the things that you like. So here I am trying to purchase a franchise. And I'm like, I can just go to the bank, credit's okay, the people give me a good rate. But then you said, you're making all this money, but then you gotta turn around and pay the bank. So then I'm struggling with it. So I'm taking care of brothers in school. One is in Penn State, there's another one in Georgia University, there's another one at University of Maryland. But I have mom and dad. So when you said cut back in deprived, so I've been depriving myself as a person, as an entrepreneur. But here's this franchise that I want to purchase, and I've been saying it for 3 years, but I haven't been able to do that. So when a brother called, hey, Ange, I want to come for the weekend, sure, here, I'll cash app you $300, $400, no problem. But this franchise I haven't bought. So for you to say, deprive yourself, I've done that. But I need to deprive others.
Absolutely.
So what I am taking from this, I'm not sure about you guys, is the fact that you have to put yourself first. And then everything else will fall into place. So I don't want that loan, but I want the franchise. So when you say to my husband and I, okay, we'll save this money, I'm like, okay, and you can't buy it. It's just, but you can't buy it with all the baggage behind you. So I want to say I appreciate it. I'm so glad that I was here. I have so many notes that I can take back to me. So this was awesome. So it wasn't a question, but it was an appreciation.
That's so important because I see a lot of us foreigners, we get caught up in this whole I gotta take care of, and I'm very different.
Well, you and I need to talk.
I told my mom, I'm sorry, I don't know your expectations, I'm gonna fail because my Jesus, you know, we have certain, what's the word? When God gives you everyone has their own,
Grace, gift, abilities.
everyone has their own. I always tell my husband, it's not our own something. Like if Black Job calls you, I need 500, they need to send my child to school today. What's that? Like that's not your own
Responsibility.
Let's just say responsibility. So I always tell my husband, it's not everything that you see that you're called to do. Sometimes God puts certain people in certain situations because he's waiting for them to reach out to God. But us, we're like, oh, I will save you. Let me send you 5,000. You know, and so then we start the calling that God called us to do. Now we're sitting on it like 3 years because you're helping this person over here. You know, so sometimes you have, like you said, you have to go back and say, okay, I'm gonna get myself together because when you get yourself together, then you now become the foundation that can hold everybody else. But if you're not there, then all of you are kind of just, you know. So.
I think one thing that Didi said earlier, it's underrated, but very, very important. No. You gotta know how to say no. I'm telling you, if you can't say no to your parents, your siblings, your cousins, in our culture, it's very, very common for people to come from Liberia, Nigeria, we're all the same culture. Call you, these days they see you on social media, they DM you, they think because you have this house car, this type of house, you have all this money, you just gotta learn to say no. You know, when my mom was alive, she was probably the only person I couldn't say no to. But she also taught me that, listen, you can't be Superman for everybody, and then when you need your own help, those people you're helping are not gonna help you. You know, she taught me about helpless remorse. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of helpless remorse. You know, where you help somebody and then all of a sudden when you need help, you're not gonna get it, you know, or you've done so much for somebody and then you expect it back. No. Just do what you can do and expect nothing and learn how to, as a business person, you have to learn how to say no. You gotta say no to some clients.
Yes, so
Absolutely.
not all good money is, not all money is good money.
Yes.
Not all money is good money. I learned that quickly. This is not gonna work. I don't think it's a good fit. You might wanna try, I can't say their name, but you might wanna try.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Let's just give a round of applause.